That's right, fellow seekers of truth, justice, and the American way. We're back to talk about the latest DC animated movie that has just a splash of patriotism and, oh boy, a healthy dose of nostalgia. It's Justice League, not Justice League, Justice Society, World War II. The SpoilerCast here on the So You Want to Beat Imagineer podcast network. How you doing, Dragon? How you doing tonight?
I'm feeling nostalgic. I wonder why. Oh, right. It's the Justice Society. Of course I am.
This is like the second most awesome like World War II superhero thing next to the Captain America Museum. Am I right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, Dragon, I'm not even going to beat around the bush with this one. I was really, really excited about this. Of course, you know me, World War II superhero stuff. Like, I love the Star Spangled Man with a Plan from the Captain America movie. Like, one of the big running jokes on the channel with the Marvel movies is that I could take a full movie of just Captain America going on those stupid USO propaganda tours. Like, just a whole movie of that, Dragon. Just give it to me. Um, Dragon, I gotta tell you, this was a lot of fun in the first half. Seeing all the characters kind of coming together. I was really digging the Clark Kent mystery we had going on. I gotta tell you, Dragon, after about the halfway point when the Atlanteans kind of come into the picture. By the way, like I said, this is a spoiler cast, so all hands on deck for that. But Dragon, when the Atlanteans started to come into the picture, I gotta say, the whole thing just kind of became a fight, 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 fighty McFight, fight, 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 fight. And I didn't really like. I don't know. I felt like the movie kind of like almost abandoned the cool World War II stuff in favor of like, okay, the Atlanteans are gonna take over the world and we're gonna stop them. And I feel like that you know what, Bob, you know what really disappointed me about that, Dragon, is that I feel like the first half of the movie did such a good job setting up the whole, like tying in the Nazis into the Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of you know, kind of oh, help me out. The
Hitler's obsession with the occult, yes.
The occult, that's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Dragon. Yes, yes. And I really wish they would have leaned more on that, Dragon. I don't know what the hell the Atlantean stuff was about, frankly. But maybe I need to watch it again. Maybe there's some like greater subtext there that I'm missing. Like maybe like is it like the theme is that the Atlanteans are like kind of like stand-ins for Hitler? I don't know. I mean, I know that one of them in their midst is a Nazi, but but still, it's still kind of I feel like in the second half of the movie, they take kind of a grounded take on superheroes in World War II and kind of amp it up to 11. And in the end, Dragon, unfortunately, I really do hate to say it because I was very much anticipating this one. I was left with kind of a mixed result. Overall, I'd probably give this one maybe about a 6, 7 out of 10. It's not bad, but it wasn't it wasn't nearly the kind of nostalgic masterpiece that I was wanting it to be.
You wouldn't stay firm with the 7. It's got to be a 6 or a 7.
You know what, Dragon? You talked me into it. I'll stay firm with the 7.
There we go. There we go.
So solid enough, Dragon. But like I said, I was expecting a lot more in regards to actually exploring the World War II timeline and stuff. And we got tastes of it for sure. And a lot of it is really cool. But like I said, I just think that second half just kind of disintegrates it all. And I'd be curious to see if you had similar thoughts.
All right. So, Just Society, World War II. It really seems that we're building a new DC original anime continuity, but in the positive sense this time. We're doing it right. This is the we're doing it right. We're doing loosey goosey, pretty much. Take notes DCEU, where there's a continuity there, but we're not going to like just assume people know exactly what's going on. We're going to make the movie stand on their own and be good, without having to be like, if that first one bombs, then we're going to be stuck with that as our big introduction. Like, we don't have any of that going on. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's because the first one was also good. I can't really weigh in on that, I guess. But, it's Yeah, I mean, as far as the fact that this is coming after Man of Tomorrow, which was really good, and
I
again,
think Man of Tomorrow definitely exceeded this one, in my opinion.
I agree. Here's the thing. So here's what I'm coming down on. So
Okay.
not only is this a showcase for the JSA, but also the Flash, which is wonderful. Not entirely, I kind of knew it going into it. Looking at the poster and everything, you kind of know, okay, Flash is obviously going to have a part in this movie, and I wonder
So
how. Getting to our
I did really like the old school Flash bouncing off of Barry Allen Flash Dragon. That is probably the best stuff in the movie, I think.
oh yeah. So let me put it this way. So I love the movie, but here are my reservations. I got
Mhm.
major reservations with basically your half thing. I equate to the third act. Is to me the act breakdown essentially is it's the meet and greet of Act One. Act Two is the big reveal of like we're not
Mhm.
necessarily just going back in time on this one, and then Act Three is all the Atlantean stuff, which I concur with everything you say, and that I think it's
The
okay, but just
Atlantean stuff just kind of derails the World War II of it all, right?
yes, and I think I get the logic. The idea is they're going for a by land, sea, and air. As in Steve Trevor's the air. We've seen the guys on the land, and there's kind of our sea elements. And basically, I think we
All
double
right.
down too
Well,
much on the sea
I'm
element.
sorry, but Justice Society World War II, you ain't Dunkirk. You ain't Dunkirk. All right. or I'm sorry, Dragon. As Mark Rylance would say, you ain't
Dunkirk.
Dunkirk. Just Mark Rylance just sullenly disappointed in you.
You're not Dunkirk.
Oh God. All right. Anyways.
Anyway, so again, on the whole, basically, where I'm coming down the movies, I think
Yeah.
it's good. It's not quite Man of Tomorrow, but
Yeah. Yeah.
importantly, it's a step in the right direction. So that's the big takeaway. This is absolutely a step in the right direction. Again, with that reservation in mind, which kind of bleeds into a little bit of Man of Tomorrow, but we'll get there. This gives me a lot of hope for the next batch of DC animated films, whether they're
Do
going to
we have
be.
a next one on the horizon? Is it Long Halloween? Is the next one?
Let me tell you something shocking. Okay,
Okay.
not only is Long Halloween Part One going to be the next one, it's going to be, from what I understand, the quickest turnaround we've ever had, and that is next month.
Oh wow. Oh, that is kind of
The
crazy.
quickest turnaround they've ever done.
Mhm.
So yeah, so we have Long Halloween on the horizon. The really interesting thing about Long Halloween, by the way, is it is in an animation style because it's really hard to adapt Tim Sale because he has really exaggerated features. Now there is a lot of Tim Sale in the artwork, but it's also in that thick line style that we've had for the past two movies. So I got to be honest, given that we have a green Flash in this movie and a green Superman, the previous movie, and
Yeah.
Long Halloween it's not Batman year one, but Long Halloween being like year two or three on the job, that is also a relatively green Batman. I got to tell you,
I
if
see
that's
where you're
what they're
going.
aiming
I
for,
see where you're
I
going.
think they
Yeah.
found, and again, Long Halloween, when you boil it down, it's always like, oh, well, that's our origin of Two Face, which you can have naturally without really upsetting the established order. It's like, well,
Sure, sure.
it's our Two Face origin for this universe, which is already like the widely accepted Two Face origin. So if you're building a universe, we have three excellent starts for three great heroes. I'm totally down for that. I think they found a way to take our little story and weave it very really nicely because Man of Tomorrow, Batman exists. And there we go. That's why he exists because there was a year one story we
Again,
didn't see.
DCU, take notes. Seriously.
Absolutely. So, point being, if they're heading in the direction again, Long Halloween may or may not be doing that, but if they are, just based on just like the trailer and the first look, just with that thick line style, I'm going to assume that's the case, and I'm thrilled with it. I'm loving the direction we're heading in, and yeah, let's before we I guess before we just kind of like just talk about the movies. Hold on, let me tell you how we get this movie real quick. Okay, so the team from Man of Tomorrow. So you have Butch Lukic and Jim Krieg. Now these guys, they of course Butch Lukic, from the animated series days, and he was the producer on Man of Tomorrow along with Jim Krieg. He's basically produced a number of the and written a number of the DC original animated films, which sometimes varied from like good, like Gotham by Gaslight, which I really liked, and not so good. But let's not focus on that right now. Anyway, so when they pitched Man of Tomorrow, apparently it seems they pitched the next few films that basically is comprising our new lineup. So again, these guys are like they're kind of leading the charge on the next batch of DC original animated films. So of course, Butch looking from the olden days, it's good to hear a little bit of Bruce Timm lifeblood in there without it being Bruce Timm again.
Yeah, yeah.
which is nice. So in this lineup, they kind of amalgamated a few different ideas they were pitching, which is really interesting. So, for example, one of the pitches was a Wonder Woman World War II series. It was supposed to be on one of the streaming services, which
Hmm.
obviously fell through. And it was going to basically be like Wonder Woman in World War II fighting Nazi zombies. That was essentially what the premise was, which sounds kind of awesome. I got to admit. And another pitch was a Flash of Two Worlds thing, which presumably would have been like the whole like Flash and Jay Garrick Flash from a betting man. So basically, that's where they got the idea. Let's use Flash as our POV character. So they kind of
So did they
melded
kind of
these.
just like, yeah, they melded the two together, right? They pressed the
Yeah,
Epcot models up against each other.
exactly. That's what they did. Precisely. And the big
Yeah.
thing you should know about this movie, the main kind of driving force of this film, Butch Lukic, he loves World War II. He
Mhm.
loves it. And fun fact, he directed the Justice League's foray into World War II. So the end of the first season of the Justice League animated series, there was a
Oh,
three-parter, and it was basically the Justice League gets sent back in time to World War II, but the immortal bad guy, the only one who rivals Ra's al Ghul, Vandal Savage, he basically hijacked World War II and basically made it so
oh
the
no.
Nazis won. So Justice League has to stop that. It's called A Savage Time. So which Luke directed two out of the three parts on that, and he had a great time with it. So he's definitely and again, the big thing about that too is that was like a tribute to the wartime DC stories, like kind of their Howling Commandos equivalents were in there, like Sergeant Rock and all that sort of cool stuff. So it was kind of a love letter. So a lot of that love was kind of brought here, and of course, a lot on the project too. Your director, Jeff Wamster, if I'm saying that remotely correct, Wamister, whatever. His grandfather served in World War II, so a lot of like kind of passing the torch in terms of like, the stories and the reverence and kind of translating that into
Uh-huh.
animation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah. So Dragon, first of all, I do really, really love the cold open for this movie with Steve Trevor talking to Roosevelt, a kind of like in shadow Roosevelt, and kind of like building up that they need a stronger team to contend with the bigger threats that are out there. And then we kind of build up to the whole like who's going to lead the team. Enter Diana Prince, kind of get a little bit of an introduction to who the team's going to be. And yeah, I thought that was a great kind of like, oh boy,
Well,
like
not only that. Remember, after that sequence, we have the old school opening credits.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then we get into a segment that I got to admit, I can remember when I was first watching the movie, it kind of threw me off. I was like, wait a minute. This feels like modern day, and modern day Flash and Superman are here. What's going on now? This is suspicious. Shenanigans. I call shenanigans. But no, of course, of course, very early on in this fight, Flash uses a speedster trick and he zaps himself, presumably to World War II, but it might not be when that's the problem, but where.
Right.
Any
So
other thoughts on this opening fight, Dragon?
yeah, I want to talk about his Flash as a POV character. So
Uh-huh.
so of course, the Flash. It's a Flash standard of the Flash, of course, having a lot of time travel stories because he runs so fast and go back and forth in time, and also can go into alternate timelines and things of that sort. So that's kind of what Flash does on the regular. So it's kind of a no brainer that yeah, if we're going to do that story, if we want to do a JSA story set in World War II, the Flash would be our very logical way of getting there, and we kind of make him our Marty McFly in a superhero story, which throughout DC history, which is a great idea. I'm 100% behind that idea.
Mhm, mhm.
He's a literal lightning rod for exploring the greater DC universe in a stretch, which seems to be what the DCU is kind of banking on right now. But we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I thought it was we see the Flash here, and again, this is what I'm saying. So again, so far with the kind of our building our modern day heroes in this new films, that was the big reveal for this film that I did not know this film was going to double down on like being in continuity. I thought it was a stylistic thing, but this is the exact same Superman from Man of Tomorrow. He's making a name for himself. Darren
Right,
Criss is
right.
doing the
Yeah,
voice.
yeah.
So when he crossed over Superman, I was like, oh my god, he's in Metropolis. And not only that, it's the same Superman. I was like giddy, like, oh my god, and they're both very green at what they're doing, and like Flash, he's a good-hearted guy. He's well-intended. He's saving people. He saved Superman's life right off the bat when he's like catching that kryptonite bullet. That's awesome. I'm loving this.
Yeah, like I said, I was just thrown off because I was like, wait a minute, this feels like modern day. This isn't supposed to be modern day. What's going on here?
Oh yeah, but yeah, I like this. So the moral of the film, which very much is kind of bookended with our Flash stuff, which is going to be important to hit, is that he's it's very much a lesson of blink and you miss it for a speedster. Like he's using his powers to make everything perfect, but you're missing out on what's making the moment special and what your partner needs, essentially, which is which
Dare
is
I say it's
interesting.
almost kind of like a better handled Adam Sandler click moral.
Sure, there you go. That's sure, and of course, also my favorite moment in the entire film with the Flash. Me, I love when heroes save people, but
Of
we
course.
did the far better. I know you're gonna hate me a little bit for this, but
Oh, come on.
so I think this is the far better dramatic Quicksilver action sequence compared to Snyder's version when Flash is saving people and is like taking out all the Nazis with his super speed and everything. That's how you give the Flash that kind of that Quicksilver effect. That's how you
I
do it
mean, I
dramatically.
look. Okay, so as far as the Snyder cut Flash scene goes, that you and I do tend to disagree on. To me, the moment is less about the depiction of the super speed, and it's more about how it characterizes Barry. Like, I like how it shows him like, oh, there's the hot dog. I'm gonna get the hot dog. I'm gonna put it in my pocket, and and I like the payoff where like I like how it shows his mind operating. But that being said, yeah, you're damn right. This is much better, actual speedster animation here for sure. I'm not going to argue with you.
Saving a family before they're killed by Nazis, freaking Nazis, and of course, knowing who remember that Shakespeare guy was there, so it would be interesting to see what would have happened had Flash
Yeah,
not
what's
gotten to
this
them.
Shakespeare guy, Dragon? He seems a little sus.
Yeah. And of course, Flash. I love that Flash record. I love that Barry Allen is smart enough to recognize something familiar about this guy, which was great. Also, I love that we're calling him Future Boy, which is and all like the Back to the Future references with the Flash. Like that reminds me of this movie, and that's a lot of fun.
You know what I kind of also like about the Shakespeare thing is that I feel like in some ways he looks almost like Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man esque or like Howard Stark esque with
Yeah,
the
Howard Stark
mustache.
being that's the
Yeah,
better.
Howard
Yeah.
Stark. Yeah.
Yeah. Little fun fact, just with the Superman connection of it all,
Uh-huh.
with the earlier scene. So the two of the voice actors for this one, we have Matt Bomer and Stana Katic. So Stana Katic voices Wonder Woman wonderfully. I love Stana Katic. She was Talia in the Arkham games. She played Lois Lane in one of the other DC movies called Superman Unbound. Now the Superman in that movie was Matt Bomer. Matt Bomer plays the Flash. So yeah, it's just kind of funny how the Superman Flash crossover has kind of been in the works subconsciously for a long time. I guess I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah,
fun how
six
that worked out.
degrees.
Yep. All right. So should we talk about the JSA, or should we just kind of press on with the Shakespeare of it all? Like, what your call? What do you want to?
Yeah, let's just establish the JSA really quick, kind of go through those characters for sure.
So it's funny. The JSA has had a real boom of late. So let's think about it. So they were like we did like a real kind of a drop in the bucket back during the Smallville days. Like there's one JSA episode. Basically,
Uh-huh.
we only did them so much. Like hey, there's a Dr. Fate helmet. And there's this. And there's that. And like hey,
Let me guess, was the joke something to the extent of like, oh wow, the old superheroes were lame?
I mean, it was the problem was again, Smallville has that weird no tights, no flights thing where it's like, hey, we're gonna tease you what superheroes look like, but not really. It was like you were so slobberingly grateful, like, oh my god, look, Jeff Johns worked on this episode and he gave us a peek at the JSA, and they're teasing up Superman and the cape, and like, and of course, we know it doesn't really have much of a payoff. So now, more importantly, so again, decade or so
Dragon,
later,
that reenactment that you just did sounded genuinely emotional for you. Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine. Anyway, so we have so in the Legends of Tomorrow, season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow. This is my old principle to CW. The first 2 seasons of everything but Batwoman are good.
Yeah,
so check out all the first 2 seasons.
That's what I've heard. First, and then everything goes off a cliff after that.
Yes, but yeah, the second season of Legends of Tomorrow is
Weird.
my favorite for 2 reasons.
Okay.
Okay, one, you have the Justice, the JSA at the top because it takes place during the 40s and everything, and that's really cool. And the reason that we use that as a launching board for my favorite aspect of that season, which is Reverse Flash is the season long bad guy, which is awesome.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
So that was where they really kind of like attempted the JSA in a much better sense. And then of course, right now we have Stargirl. Stargirl's whole thing is like passing the torch, where the younger superheroes are taking on their parents and their mentors' legacies, which is the JSA, which is really cool. And kind of lastly, we have the Black Adam movie coming up with The Rock. That's going to have the JSA in it. So the JSA are popping up everywhere. Is my point. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, definitely.
So who impressed you here in the lineup?
Okay, let's see. I liked seeing Canary just because Dragon, as you know, one of my big frame of references for Black Canary that is absolutely not accurate to the actual characters, All-Star Batman and Robin.
God.
God, just, oh.
I mean, de facto, this is probably the best version of Black Canary of any of them. Even look at the CW Arrow show.
I really liked her. Like, I don't think that she has a ton to do in this thing, but I do like that she's kind of the most world weary out of the Justice Society. I like the whole idea of, she's very concerned about the fact that, like, oh, the Flash doesn't remember us, and so that means that everything we're doing, we're not going to have a legacy behind it. Like that really hit, man. That was I don't really think this movie is that deep when it comes to like exploring emotional complexities like that. But that's one of the few moments where I was like, oh, okay, I can, I can vibe with that sort of, emotional complexity. Let's see, who else is there, Dragon?
Okay, well, let's see. There's Hawkman. Now, again, I love how we introduced all these guys, by the way, in the prologue with FDR, and of course, like him just like reacting like the Egyptian the Egyptian reincarnation, not essentially with the wings.
So Hawkman was a lot of fun. Again, I feel like I'm going to be a broken record here with these characters because I feel like most of them kind of just stick to the background. But he is kind of the voice of he's very much the most morally righteous of the League.
Yeah. I mean, Hawkman, he basically sticks to his belief and makes no apologies to it. That's the whole thing with Hawkman. The Justice League animated shows kind of toyed with, and that their take on it was just very, very self-effacing. Of like, yeah, people think he's crazy because over the years there's been like a couple takes on Hawkman. One is like a very specific reincarnation version. Others has been like he's just a guy with the hawk wings, and then he's just like an actual alien, a Thanagarian, which is why he has the hawk wings. So they kind of melded that all together and they kind of called it out. And then here it's just, again, we kind of kept him more stoic. We kind of kept him, he's kind of playing the cards close to the vest. He's just kind of doing his thing, a little Thor-like, if you will. But yeah.
I like the stoic angle, man. I really do think it works. It definitely differentiates him from, kind of like the classic sort of like almost like a slightly more stoic version of Birdman that we get, from the Hanna-Barbera days.
Right, and that's the thing about Hawkman, and that's the thing I'm so excited that we're getting Aldous Hodge in live action playing Hawkman. Is that you have to have a credible actor, a guy who's going to sell you, like to sell you on such a ridiculous, like from a distance, such a ridiculous looking character. Just big old hawk wings, and he's kind of like, got like a He-Man look, and he's got like a mace. And you gotta sell legitimacy of that character. It's a cool look, but you gotta legitimize it. And that's kind of what we do here through the actions. And Hawkman is insanely cool, but hard to sell. Which again, yeah.
Okay, so vintage Flash, Dragon, vintage Flash.
Yes, the J. Garrick Flash, who, by the way, is in Flash season 2.
Oh, nice, that's cool.
He's all over Flash season 2.
I really, really liked this a lot. I thought it was a very clever idea for the two Flashes to kind of like meet and bounce off each other. Kind of one's a little bit more old school, kind of almost like more of a Boy Scout. And then the other is just, of course, our beloved, like isn't it funny how essentially like Barry Allen makes this Flash look like or I'm sorry, the old school Flash makes Barry Allen Flash look like Deadpool in comparison.
Yeah.
Just because he's all up on the pop culture references, and because he's out of time, he's like a little meta and a little bit more crude.
Sure. And the thing about the cool thing about Jay Garrick Flash here is that we really kind of call that with him and Hourman that we have scientists who are also superheroes on the team. That's kind of a cool thing they've always kind of had in their corners. Where
I feel like that's one of the things with early comic books that we kind of got away from recently, or not even recently. Like we long since have gotten away from is the fact that with the scientists A lot of the times, like Bruce Banner is a classic example. Like science and superhero herodom, like they were hand in hand for a long time in popular culture, especially when science was when popular science was just starting to come into the limelight.
It was very much just sort of like an instant cure-all for how you get the powers. How do you get the powers? Science! And but yeah, it's again. What's really cool too is that you have like the experiential thing. Because traditionally, sometimes people are like, whether the JSA actually happened or did not happen. Which again, we found a really creative way out of here with like why it's not necessarily, it's the same timeline. Let's say. Um, Jay Garrick, he usually is kind of like a grandfatherly presence for the Flash, and it's like a mentor thing. He's like the father figure to Barry Allen, along with his many other father figures, the ones that are framed and put in prison. And but that's the thing. So Jay Garrick very much the mentor, and like he knows how the Speed Force works. And I like how he brought
now
that
I'm
here.
just picturing. I'm sorry, really quick. Now I'm just picturing the Flash. Fucking Barry Allen just having like a big family of adopted dads, a la BoJack Horseman.
Oh God!
Like Joe West and Barry's actual father, and then this guy just all living under the same room. Like, no, I'm his father figure. I'm his father figure. Then Joe West is like, now, guys, y'all know that I'm the real father figure.
Then you have
reverse.
You have the reverse Flash coming there. No, I'm the
Yeah,
father.
yeah, absolutely.
But you killed his mother. That makes me the interesting father figure.
All right. Oh, that's great. That's delightful.
But yeah, so again, I like how we brought the experiential thing where, so Jay Garrick knows how the Speed Force works to our Green Flash, who's basically figuring out his powers, who does not quite know how this. He doesn't have a name for what the Speed Force is. He's literally stumbled into, which is classic Flash. He runs so fast, he ran too fast. He needs limitations.
Uh-huh.
And they're teaching each other stuff. Like he taught him like the spinning hands trick, which actually worked.
Yeah, I really like that they're kind of like bouncing off of each other.
Yeah.
Let's see, any other like kind of B-tier characters that I'm missing?
Yeah, of course, one of my favorites. Oh, the Hourman's in this. Unfortunately, we don't do a lot with Hourman.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that he's even in it. I'm sorry. Like he's to me, he kind of just seems like almost like a beta Superman, if that makes sense, just in terms of his power set.
Kind of like a beta Captain America in a sense.
Yeah,
he has
like sure.
That's all. Hourman again. He's been, as I said. I don't want to just sound like beating a dead horse with it, but it's just this whole. We keep finding interesting ways to do new takes on the JSA. And we've done the legacy angle on Stargirl with like Hourman and his father, and they because there's two Hourmen in the comics. There's Rex Tyler and there's Rick Tyler. And point being, this is the original. So I like seeing the old school Hourman, and basically. Over the years, they have to change it because we can't just have a drug addict superhero. Basically, he takes the Miracolo in this case, and it was sometimes as a pill. In this case, it's literally like a serum he drinks, and he gets powers for an hour. But what we did here, we glimpsed here. We didn't quite do a lot of focus to it, but it was there, and I appreciate that. He feels inadequate. Like after the hour's up, he can't take that serum again. He feels kind of useless on the team. He's got like he's a good fighter, but outside of that, you can't like bench press tanks like he could, like Wonder Woman. He feels like, why am I'm just the guy in the silly outfit here, that was the cool thing about Golden Age DC in like the early, even maybe not Golden Age, Golden Age and Silver Age, just with the early years of DC.
Kind of
the heroes
into Silver, yeah.
Because the Silver Age, they had like Atom, for example, the DC's Ant-Man. He was very subconscious. Sure. All I do is shrink. What use am I? And Aquaman as well. Like once I drive, there's a lot of inadequacy amongst the DC heroes at times. I kind of like seeing that brought.
So it's essentially like what they did with Hawkeye, except these guys like actually had powers, and so they have less to actually complain about.
Yeah. The Hourman, again, I'm so excited to get more. I was just talking of like an Hourman movie I heard, but it's just, again, it's like Darkman meets Darkman meets Captain America. He's only got powers for less, for a certain amount of time.
Uh-huh.
Oh, what did you think about Dr. Fate? Because he's technically on the team, but he's not officially on the team, but he's in the movie and he's traditionally on the team. So
Dr. Fate, that's the guy who's like strapped to the chair reading the shit, right?
Yes. And when Flash went through time, he gave him like a Doctor Strange warning of like, you gotta keep running forward, don't stop.
Yeah, very much the closest thing we have to like an Indiana Jones sort of like a cult moment, right? And I thought that was really cool.
And that moment very literally modeled after the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh yeah,
all the flowing lights. It was very
So yeah, I enjoyed all that. Like I said, Dragon, I feel like if this movie would have stuck more towards the Indiana Jones occult stuff, and that the Atlantis stuff maybe would have been saved for a sequel or something, I feel like I would be more glowing about it just as a whole.
I agree with you. I mean, ultimately, ultimately, I think doing it, going with the Atlantis angle, it bothers me for a couple of reasons. All right? On one level, it's that as cool as this, do like the whole by air, land, and sea thing, and kind of do Aquaman as sort of like a Namor threat, like Namor from the olden days. The comics very much kind of the anti-hero sort of thing, and kind of putting Aquaman somewhat of a villain. It's like that's a nice throwback to the competition, I suppose. The wartime stuff, but I don't think it warrants its screen time. That's kind of it's like, so Aquaman's the bad guy. That's not gonna, like, here's the thing, we didn't go full tilt. Like, Aquaman in this alternate reality, we learn he's not just a Nazi, he's being controlled to be a Nazi. Because when Aquaman's saying
That's the half measure that the movie kind of pulled, that where it's like I feel like if Aquaman actually was a Nazi, right, like just
yeah,
full tilt, and that's the world we were in,
yeah,
I would be down for that. But instead, they had to go this stupid, like, oh, but this guy is kind of like the Jafar figure who's controlling Aquaman. I'm like, that's where you kind of lost me a little
when
bit.
Aquaman says Heil Hitler, my jaw dropped.
Oh,
Like, oh
yeah,
my
same.
god.
Honestly, like the plot line to start with was just like, okay, like, holy shit, if they execute this right, this could be something. And
So
unfortunately, I thought the execution wasn't great.
So with our Jafar character, let me tell you the problem with him. So
Mhm.
that guy is so subtly a DC character, it's just ridiculous. Like, really, we couldn't have made it just a little more. Like, they didn't give him his costume at all, and plus the character's in vogue a little bit recently. So that guy's Psycho Pirate. That's his name, Psycho Pirate. Psycho Pirate. The big take was he's got like a golden mask, and he affects people's emotions and kind of
Oh
controls them through
fucking
that.
a! I just
None of that, none of that
I
really
give up. I
translated.
give up.
So my point is exactly is that this, like, really, it's like, unless you really know, you're gonna have no idea. He says I was a pirate. That's
Yeah,
all he
yeah,
says.
yeah. Like,
And it's
because Lord knows that when I think pirates, oh yeah, I think Nazis.
so let me tell you what I wish they would have done here. Okay, I
Okay.
don't know if this would have made 100% sense, but it would have been a decent 75, buddy boy.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I really wished this would be the perfect, most opportune time to use Starro.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, I hear you.
because if you're
Because of the
gonna
whole
stick
like
with
brainwash
Mhm.
mentality and everything.
The
Yeah.
brainwashing, and instead of having a whole invade, at the very least, you would have an excuse for your giant kaiju figure being Starro
Hmm.
instead of just the Leviathan character from the end of the Aquaman movie. Essentially, instead of doing that, it's like it's two birds with one stone. Also, here's the better thing: it's a great throwback to the very first Justice League villain, which was Starro. Again, I know that's in the '40s. That Justice League's in the '60s.
Dragon,
This
I
is in the
feel like
'40s.
DC refuses to acknowledge that Staryu was the first Justice League villain. It's like, throw him in Suicide Squad, you know?
Well, that's I'm still looking forward to
No,
that
I
film.
am looking forward to starting on Suicide Squad. Don't get me wrong, but you know what I mean, though. It's like for some reason, like DC is adverse to actually putting Staryu in anything justice
Starro, it's
related.
Starro, not the Pokemon.
Okay, I'm sorry. I will never get it right. Just learn to live with
God.
that.
Anyway, so I think that's here's my concern, by the way, with the DC movies. I know the next. I'll be shocked if the next Batman movie has this problem. I will utterly be shocked. But I got to tell you, looking at Man of Tomorrow and looking at this, the third act's going to devolve into kaiju monsters. I'm just hoping that that
Oh my
doesn't.
god, yeah, that because that is Invincible did the third act evolving into kaiju monsters, but man, that was warranted.
Yeah,
I hope the kaiju monster battle doesn't become the new like giant beam of light in the sky.
that's what I'm saying. A part of me
Right,
is afraid.
right.
I'm saying two in a row, and we know
Yeah,
Batman.
yeah.
Unless they said there gonna be some surprises in Long Halloween. So even if you've read the book, there's gonna be like a cool mystery aspect. By the same
Mhm.
token, I don't think they're gonna have a giant kaiju in that movie. So I'll be shocked. And why didn't Nolan put this in the movie? But I don't.
What if it's just like the squid from Watchmen, just like inexplicably shows up to fuck things up?
That's what I'm saying. I don't. Oh god, but yeah. So that's on the whole. I just hope we don't continue that as a trend. I'm just hoping that because we had Aquaman, we had to do the the kaiju thing. Which anyway, so That's just kind of also. So let's circle back to the Shakespeare of it all because it kind of tails into yet another problem I have with the Atlantean thing. Let's talk the reveal with Shakespeare first.
I mean, I do think that it's a very good reveal because at first I really wasn't sure what to make of the guy. I mean, like I said, Dragon, before the bullet thing, I was the one thing that was bouncing around in my head was like, it's Howard Stark. So I like obviously I wasn't thinking he was really Howard Stark, but in the back of my mind, I was thinking like, okay, is he some sort of like billionaire guy? Like maybe he's associated with Batman. Like honestly, Thomas Wayne was maybe like I was leaning maybe in that direction a little bit. But yeah, then the bullet thing happened. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That's clever. And then it does kind of like not just reveal the Superman side of things with Shakespeare, but just the whole like, oh my God, we're in an entirely different Earth. And that is a big twist, Dragon. That is a good hook to go into the second act of the film.
I love that reveal. That's why I can't say this movie's anything but good because that's an awesome. That's a reveal.
Give it a 7 out of 10. It's good, man. 7 out of 10.
I absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's why, like, despite our collective problems with the third act, is like is what solidifies this. This is a great movie. For sure. I mean, look at that term because again, and here's the thing. So what they built up so well with the Justice Society is that what Black Canary's concerns, so the whole like, we're going to be forgotten angle, is that Shakespeare's purpose there, he's the war correspondent who's basically, fudging the reports, basically hiding them, kind of making sure the soldiers get the credit, and that the Justice Society, they're the superpower that, the Americans have, but they don't want to, like, cause an arms race or anything, so they're keeping it on the down low. Mm-hmm. It's their version of, like I said, Hitler's going after the occult. This is our response to the occult thing. It's the Justice Society. And using a bunch of oddballs and outcasts and scientists on our team, keeping it all hush. Basically, it's a wartime Suicide Squad on the up and up, but kept hush hush. That's essentially what it is. But we're not using killers and criminals. But so all that again, that makes perfect sense for why the Flash wouldn't know about them. And so I'm thinking, absolutely, he just went back in time. But of course, it's that reveal of like Earth 2. That's absolutely why there's no idea about him. There's another Earth. It's like that's why this whole is such a foreign concept. We're dealing with the Flash who doesn't have a Justice League or anything, and he's getting the idea for the Justice League from this. This is wonderful.
Yeah, and that does lead to a very kind of like cyclical nature to the plot line, right? Where it's like if Flash doesn't take this trip back in time, he doesn't start the Justice League. It's all a very cool kind of like cause and effect time travel story.
And I love Dr. Fate, by the way, in that he pretty much is again the very simple. Again, he predated him, so it's fair. He was Doctor Strange before Doctor Strange was even a thing. And again, he's very much Hitler's occult obsession targeted towards this poor guy strapped to a chair and tortured for all this stuff because like Hitler loves the occult. We want to know how his Egyptian magic works. Mm-hmm. And we get all those cryptic end game teases like, I won't tell him about the League, which obviously we know that's going to manifest. Now, Tiki, did you have time to get into that Commandy short film or no?
No, I didn't, Dragon. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, if you're curious, the blonde kid with the Superman costume, that's Commandy. So I gotta be honest.
I kind of figured that there was that whatever that short film was did connect to that kid in some way because there definitely seemed to be some unanswered questions there.
It doesn't fully track for me because Commandy's like in the distant future, like during like Planet of the Apes end times. That's his whole shtick. And seriously, take it when you can. Check out that film because they animated it in Jack Kirby's style, like perfectly, flawlessly. You get to see Jack Kirby's art style animated, and it's flawless.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah. Anyway, so the Shakespeare, I kind of thought my thought was like it was like original wartime character. I was like kind of like a Sergeant Rock or something. I'm forgetting about it's like an old school pool. And my heart of hearts, I knew this wasn't true, but it's like if they do this, I'm gonna be so excited. They were gonna make him like I recognize him because he's the Reverse Flash. Because Barry Speed's going wonky, which of course logically is Speed, and that's cool. The movie addresses that.
That's exactly what you want all the DC reveals to be, Dragon.
I mean, come on, it's awesome when he shows up.
I'm just messing with you.
But seriously though, what's cool though with the Jay Garrick of it all is that we call out the limitation of whenever the Flash time travels, because if a character can time travel, all your stories are done. They're done.
Yeah.
Is that this thing we see in the Flash? Anytime with the Flash, really, is that if there's another speedster present, especially if you go to another Earth or something, with the whole multiversal travel, the speedsters all draw from the Speed Force, which basically, again, it's like two people drawing from the same power source, which means their powers are going to be affected. So again, it adds like a problem and a vulnerability to our Flash characters. Like we had moments where Jay Garrick's not sure he's gonna get shot by Nazis because he has to work on like dodgy speed, which luckily it works out for him.
Sure.
So really cool stuff. There's a really cool deep cut with Superman that no one really realizes.
Go for it.
So this Earth 2 Superman, which of course our big reveal being, because I love when you reveal that to be Superman, he's getting shot and is bouncing off, and I felt so stupid for not realizing it's the same voice. How did I not pick up on that? But again, of course, also Tiki, Superman with a mustache.
Right. Never underestimate the power of Superman with a mustache, Dragon. It just throws people off just inherently.
It's great. We found a way to put it in there naturally in the plot.
Totally legitimizes it. Yep.
It's really funny. But it's the fact that when the minute that happens, that's when you're wondering, okay, wait, we cannot possibly be back in time if he doesn't know he's Superman. All this how would Superman be in the 30s?
Dead, and he grew up in an orphanage.
By the way, that's how it was in the original 30s comics. That's the thing no one realizes. Wow. He was actually I forget necessarily if the Kents were killed. I don't think they were. That could have been an ad for this, but the fact is, the Kents found, and they put in an orphanage for a while. Or something along those lines. He was found. The baby was found, put in an orphanage, and then maybe the Kents came by. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. The point being, it's kind of a fun deep cut to like the old school Superman, which is put with our old school Justice Society. It's kind of neat. Anyway, so now by the third act we have Superman flying around in the costume, an old school costume, which is nice. My problem with this is that it just feels like we just jammed Superman in there. I would have liked to maybe get maybe another scene of him making this decision. I don't know, or something of like Shakespeare, kind of contemplating things.
Yeah, I almost feel like with Shakespeare, he could have been like the Han Solo character, where where like he was very on the fence until like the last moment, and he comes in and saves someone as Superman. Is kind of like the yeehaw, let's blow this thing and get out of here, kid, kind of moment. Just give Superman like one big heroic moment after kind of having the whole movie with him on the fence, like, in this different state. I don't know. I thought that would have been a little bit more satisfying.
I agree. It feels a little tacked on at the end.
Yeah.
It just feels like, hey, said there's Superman, right? Because we teed up the whole, we had him in this movie, and we can't just have him doing nothing, or else he's going to look like a big prick.
Yeah, right.
Can't do that. So I think one of the big things we got to touch on here, we got to touch on Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor.
Oh, yeah, sure. I am not sure how I feel about Steve Trevor, like, proposing to Wonder Woman every night, Dragon. To me, it seems a little pushy.
Well, we did call him out on it. It's kind of a running.
I mean, I get that they're, that they're trying to be, like you said, calling him out on it. But still, it's like, okay, Steve, like, take a hint, buddy. Take a hint.
But she likes him, and she says, like, I'll say yes one of these days.
No, with that being said, yes, Wonder Woman is delightful. I think this is a far better representation of the actual empowerment that the Wonder Woman character represents than, say it, Dragon, I'm sorry, Wonder Woman 84.
You know my favorite little subtle Wonder Woman detail is in this movie?
What?
The moment I saw her, it dawned on me, oh my God, we made her look just like the very original Wonder Woman. We gave her like the stupid haircut and everything. We gave her like the shorts and the weird bun thing on top of her head. That's why her head's all misshapen. It's like we made her look exactly like the original first appearance. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's all pretty fun. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. With the whole relationship between them, it's kind of an inverted version of the old-fashioned Wonder Woman. They wrote Wonder Woman comics after the war, like rom-coms, where like in the 50s, Wonder Woman was like, oh, I hope Steve Trevor, essentially wanting a proposal from Steve Trevor. That was her whole shtick. So we inverted that here.
Yeah.
Which is I thought was kind of cool as well. But I thought there was like a nice sweetness, there's like kind of a nice sweetness and a mutual respect between the two of them.
I guess it's I feel like it's more in line with her character than, as we saw in the movies, where it's like literally like one man has controlled her emotional state for like a century. So, I will I'll accept this more reserved version of Diana.
It's also really cool to see them past the origin point. You know, it's like they've already had like their meet cute, and they have like a history together, and it's like seeing them, like just seeing their dynamic versus like seeing it like, oh, I'm dealing with this crazy Amazon. Like we've seen that before. You know, it's kind of nice seeing them in the full swing, and essentially towards the end of things here with the tragic lesson of the film that Wonder Woman learns the hard way, and Flash has to see, so he learns it for the present day story. So we kill off Steve Trevor very tragically, I thought.
Yeah. It's like Steve Trevor just can't get a break in these movies, Dragon. Just animated or otherwise. He's just the character he's like the Sean Bean of the DC universe.
Never heard it put that way, but yep.
If Steve Trevor is in a movie, Dragon, he is more than likely going to die.
Yep. It's and also there's like it's not lethal, but there is a tragic fate for Steve Trevor in that Savage Time 3-parter for Justice League, and they actually
oh god,
it's tragic, but it's not it's not like getting stabbed by a Triton tragic.
Oh.
I love that in his death, though, Aquaman is giving him props. That was kind of nice. Like, you know, you fight well for essentially a land dweller or something.
So transitioning to Aquaman and everything, I mean, I feel like we pretty much set our piece where, like, if they wanted to do something really interesting, I think they would have just cut out literally the middleman with the Jafar Vizier pirate guy, whoever the fuck he was, and just gone balls to the walls and just been like, Aquaman's like, yeah, I agree with Hitler. Some of the human race is inferior, and we Atlanteans have always felt this, and we are just going to help Hitler, even the playing field a little bit. Like, I honestly think, because it's like we made James Gordon Jack the Ripper, for fuck's sake, Dragon.
We did. And just by that logic, think about it. Okay, this is gonna sound weird, folks, out of context. Just go. Hopefully, you'll watched up to this point, so you understand.
Right.
So think about it. Aquaman, just looking at him, he's Aryan as it gets, and he imagine if again, like per Steve Trevor getting to Diana first. Imagine if, instead of like Aquaman coming across, just kind of like friendly Americans as he tends to do. What if it was Nazi Germany got to him first? Right, which essentially, kind of happened here. But what if they actually sold him on like
what it is? Yeah.
Man, what's essentially we kind of did the half measures version of that, in which like one of our guys got to him, then mind controlled him. But like, what if we actually sold him one? That'd be the crazy off the rails.
What if he legitimately, like in his heart of hearts, believed in the ideology? Yeah.
Now, again, just on this broad spectrum, what we do here with Aquaman that I can respect, just I think at the end of the day, it plays just does not sing, it just doesn't sing as well as you'd like it does. Where I like the idea that, okay, so what is the deterrent that the bad guys the Nazis are going to have against the JSA? Well, it would be another another superhero equivalent, and probably one with an army that's going to outnumber them. Well, I mean, Aquaman might fit that bill. He might. I think he would fit that bill. But again, I would have liked like a Vandal Savage or something if we were going to do something opposite of Aquaman or go full Nazi. But we'll never know. But it's yeah. But yeah, it's just back to summation, the round things out with our ending of things, just kind of make sure we cover.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, just with the Act 3, I mean, it just kind of devolves into just and they fight, he makes fight.
And Trevor dies.
Yeah, at that point, Dragon, I hate to say it, but I was like, oh man, this kind of isn't a World War II movie anymore. It's kind of just turned into a generic sort of like, we got to stop the threat movie.
Yep, and again, I think, kind of like that tragic point that we hit of, the man couldn't get the proposal he dreamed of, and like missed it by seconds when she was about to say yes. Right. And I love that Flash sees that as the wake up call to, you don't get to, you don't get to, you don't let love and life pass you by with your own fears and principles of like, no, I don't do this to protect people, or no, you're letting it pass you by. Don't let it do that. Just like, don't blink and miss it, as a speedster is wont to do, which again kind of gives him the gumption to propose to Iris using the very same ring that Steve Trevor's trying to propose Wonder Woman with. And
that was nice.
And Flash, of course, he kind of learns the value of teamwork and, like, maybe I should. He extends the offer of Superman. Let's fight for. We've legitimized truth, justice, in the American way with the whole thing we just saw, which is really cool. He gives Superman that saying about truth, justice, the American
That
way.
is a
Why don't we
pretty
fight
cool
for it?
kind of bookend to the whole thing. I will give you that. There is
Yeah.
some cool kind of like timeline world building going on with that.
It's got a real. I just love how direct and simple the lessons are for the film. That going through like kind of the fun adventures. There's a wonderful simplicity to the film, yet really cool, heady ideas with our reveals and such. That's really neat.
Sure. All right, well, Dragon. I mean, final thoughts. I think you and I are more or less on the same page with this thing. The Atlanteans kind of taking over everything. Both, in terms of the screenplay and in terms of the world itself. Is definitely probably the film's weak point. But overall, I think this film gives all the heroes a nice chance to shine with a good emphasis on the two different versions of the Flash. Wonder Woman is great in a leadership role within the Justice Society / League, and that's cool to see. I thought for the most part, the Shakespeare / Superman mystery stuff was done well. Although, like you said, Dragon, I feel like we could have had maybe one more scene or two marinating on it. Just overall, I enjoyed it, but it didn't exactly meet my expectations of what I wanted it to be, but I still thought it was a fun time.
Final thoughts for me. I thought it was a great DC animated film, a nice showcase for the Flash, which kind of this new lineup. I think that was kind of good and kind of a nice surprise. It was like there's a lot of Flash in this movie. More importantly, it's nice to see the JSA get their due, which it really seems like that's the direction we're going with a lot of things. I don't kind of belabor at that point, but it's in between this Stargirl and the upcoming Black Adam. It's cool to see. It's cool to see the old school guys get their due, and just kind of people are just going to like seeing how cool DC's early stuff really was. Legitimizing the golden age, so to speak. I mean, I'd support a sequel to this, or like a JSA animated series if I were to go that far. Because I mean, again, think about it, there was like a whole new roster they could always make. Because there's a lot of just JSA guys that are on the team that weren't in this movie. For example, Green Lantern wasn't in this film because they feared he would be overpowered and take away from Wonder Woman from the movie. Like we couldn't have Green Lantern.
See that too, yeah.
Cut out, and then they cut out guys like Dr. Midnight, who's in the Stargirl show and stuff. So that's what I'm saying. So there are other people you could put on the team and get they killed off Hawkman in this movie, man. There's room to add,
right.
Yeah, like the Earth 2 draw there's also like the Earth 2 draw, like a very period accurate DC universe essentially, where essentially I'd imagine this imagine if we actually went to the 60s in a sequel. And we did like a Justice League movie that is very period accurate to that. Maybe we did Starro there. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But you could have like a Batman who's in his 40s.
Starro mind controlling the hippies.
Sure, if that helps. But seriously, think about it. Like Superman and Wonder Woman don't age, and Aquaman would be regretful for his actions, and they snapped out. He was very regretful towards the end of this film. He could be Starro could be Starro could be his redemption. And just like throwing it out there again, you could have like a 40-year-old Batman with a Robin very easily versus the kind of the old versus just kind of like him on his lonesome. 20 years later is going to the different decade. I don't know. I'm spitballing right now, but it's nice to see DC making movies before filling quotas, which is how DC should operate. I feel this is again a step in the right direction. I'm happy with it, but again, Act 3 could have been a little more. Could have measured up to like the first 2 acts did, but say la vie.
All right, well said, Dragon, and yeah, I guess stay tuned next month, folks, when we cover Long Halloween Part 1. That's exciting.
Oh yeah.
And until then, yeah, have a good night.
Gotta go back in